Danny, the FA, it seems, are about to stand up to owners' commercial greed. That can only be good, can't it?
That's not going to work.
The FA, we are told, are looking at changing the rules to ban clubs from staging lucrative friendlies beyond the end of the season. It comes amidst criticism following Newcastle and Tottenham arranging a game in Australia 3 days after the end of the Premier League season.
How are they going to do that then?
Well, someone's got to get the owners in line, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. It'll be the FA then, will it?
As you know, Danny, and Martin Kieran will be right on top of this, both sets of players would face a 21,000-mile round trip to play only 72 hours after their 38-game Premier League campaign ends. The PFA also understood to have concerns about the demands placed on players after such a long season.
Another well-run, genuine establishment.
Well said, Danny boy.
How would you feel at the end of a long season if your club was either Newcastle or Tottenham and says, yep, you're on the plane now, we're going to play this glamour friendly down under in Australia 3 days after the end of the season?
Well, I don't think you'd be overjoyed, but you're paid by the club and you get on with it and you pack your bag and you get on the plane, you get out there and you do as you're told. It's kind of where I was at when I played in the Premier League. I didn't ever want to dictate to the club what game I do and don't want to go to. You just do as you're told. I remember I flew all over with Liverpool. We did loads of stuff even back then, which was spreading the brand, if you like.
Straight after the season finished?
I think we did one, yeah. I think we did one over to Asia when the season finished. But of course, there's a big tournament coming up into the Euros, so there will be some players thinking, come on. But going back to the original point, it seems bizarre that the FA would want to stop clubs making money when so many clubs are being restricted in spending
business.
I know, but spending their money in because of financial fair play. Are you ever going to get clubs to allow them to make enough money so they can spend enough money with financial fair play to then be competitive with the top six?
It's none of their business.
Well, who employs Gareth Southgate? The FA. And the FA are looking at changing the rules. Gareth Southgate has said on this particular game, Simon, not great news, unquote, for his squad's preparation for the Euros.
He's got 26 players now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a point, though.
So basically, the FA that have abdicated all responsibility over 32 years since the conception of the Premier League, that have allowed themselves to be emasculated, turned into a eunuch of a governance, are happily waving in the independent regulator because they're so gutless and spineless to have done their jobs in the first place, are going to pop up and tell football clubs how they should run their commercial operation because the international framework and a manager that may well be out of a job after the European Championships isn't won by the England team. That's what they're going to do, are they?
Can they?
Oh, don't be so bloody ridiculous. How can they?
I don't know. I'm asking you a question.
And a player, here's a player.
Is there a need to play a game like
this? Here's a player, right? He come through the door, right? I'm going to give you more money than you could ever imagine in your life, and you're going to play the games that I tell you to do. Do you want to sign a contract or not? Yes, thank you, I'll sign the contract. End of discussion. Players do as they're told.
To play a game like this?
Are you looking at the finances?
In Australia, 3 days after the end of the season.
Aren't you forever tub thumping about the 39th bleeding game? Make your mind up. Bottom lining is that we're talking
during the season, yeah.
Well, it's irrelevant. 3 days after the end of the season. So what? They haven't got Michael O'Leary flying them on Ryanair with their knees up around their ear holes.
In the standing zone.
They're sitting in first class getting a pedicure. Let's have it right. They're going over to Australia to generate revenue for football clubs because I don't know if you've looked recently. There ain't that many football clubs that are turning over much profit in the Premier League right now.
Oh, it's money.
Even Tottenham.
It's money, Danny.
No. It's all money.
It's money.
It's all money.
Doesn't matter about the players. See, this is what Pep was saying at the weekend.
It's all money.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
But you're fair. It's a good point, Jim. It's all money. And who's getting it? Who gets the lion's share of it? Who gets the bulk of it? Oh, I know. Those hard done by survivors of the terrible tragedy of playing football twice a week.
I get what you're saying, Simon, but in all seriousness, with the Euros in mind, and the Euros are days away at the end of the season from getting underway, do Newcastle and Tottenham players really need this?
I'm assuming that they'll factor it in, and they'll price in. First of all, it's not a competitive game. Right, it's going to be an exhibition game, so it's going to be played at half tempo. Right?
Absolutely.
Second of all, I mean, with due respect, they're flying in chambers that have compression, and I understand all that. But the point is, they're not flying in clipper class; they're flying in business class or first class.
Well, of course.
And so, with that in mind, it's not. I mean,
probably
it really
stop over as well.
It really isn't that much of hardship. What it is a principle thing. This is not about the hardship. You and I both know that sometimes you get off a plane having flown first class in better nick than you got on the bleeding plane. Right, so let's have it right.
Well, you didn't when we landed in Qatar.
No, it's because I had you trying to get into my little pod, right? And Gabby Abongla snoring like a wildebeest further back on, so I couldn't get to sleep. Right, but the point is that we are talking about principle here rather than reality.
Yeah.
This is the principle of the argument being advanced. Danny is a former player and a recent former player. Souness is a former player from a different generation.
What did Pop say at the weekend?
I don't care what he said.
Oh, you don't?
I know that I should care because I'm a Fell Football Club owner and he's a genius.
Well, let's just analyse quickly, Simon, what Pep did say. He was moaning about playing so quickly because after the Real Madrid game in this game.
Yeah.
And when Shearer did say to him, well, you've only made 4 or 5 changes, you've got a wonderful squad, you could have made more. He said, yeah, but last time I did that, we got beat. Or we were 3 down at half time or whatever. So, there you go. I mean, if you want to win things, you can play.
This is a price on the ticket.
Price on the ticket.
I mean, Maddison might be involved. Trippier might be involved. Anthony Gordon might be involed.
Fine.
I mean, if you're Southgate, you're like, where's the logic in this?
But the season.
You want me to get these boys on a plane and go to Germany and win the Euros? Yeah, before that, they've got to go to Australia.
Well, let me give you context on that, son, just because of the dates. 15th of June. Is the start of the Euros.
Indeed it is.
The last weekend of the Premier League is what, 18th of May or something like around that time? So you've got a month. Unless you're playing Champions League final, which you say Newcastle and Tottenham, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
And the FA Cup final is Man U, Man City, so it's not them either.
Get on the plane, boys.
So they've got a month. Gareth will probably get them 2 weeks before. So they've got 2 weeks. Yeah. So for 3 days to go out there, it's hardly a...
Are we seriously going to take anything? I mean, with due respect, and I know that I rarely get... These are these imbeciles that wanted to sell Wembley Stadium for less than they bought it for to an American owner. I don't take anything they say seriously. If they had anything seriously to say about the running of the game, we wouldn't be having an independent regulator. They would be doing their job.
But in all honesty, embarrassment. Simon, is there a need for this game?
If the clubs feel that the economic benefits of playing a football match that creates bigger brands around the world, bigger revenue streams, and the tour itself adds value, then who is anybody else outside of that business to tell them what to do with their bloody employees?
You're going to the Arsenal-Tottenham game, aren't you? You're having a prawn cocktail shoulder to shoulder with Daniel.
I'm not going to be.
Is there any need for Tottenham to be playing this game? Is there any need for Newcastle to be playing this game?
And he'll say this is a commercial enterprise that's got a £250 million wage bill with the average player on £150,000 a week. I'll determine what's needed and what's not.
Right. It's not football, it's a commercial enterprise.
It pays footballers.
Okay, we are coming up to 12 noon. Thank goodness for business class.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.